Now, Kenya's new and fifth administration is days old in office but is facing perennial problems, signaling a short-lived honeymoon. From ravaging drought to insecurity, the Ruto-led administration says it's putting its best foot forward, or is it? From a yet-to-be-named cabinet to a backlash on religiosity, we look at the promises and realities on Pundits Night tonight. But first, these are the stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, the Supreme Court issues full judgment on the presidential petition giving IEBC recommendations. Also tonight, police lobbed tear gas to disperse Azimio leaders protesting the interdiction of Deputy IEBC CEO Ruth Kulundu.
They have decided to lock the gate with chains. So you can imagine that the gates have been locked to the public. Everybody in Kenya, in IEBC.
Plus, President William Ruto flags off relief food to drought-stricken counties.
For us to ensure that no Kenyan dies of hunger as we manage the effects of climate change and as we think on the long-term solutions to this challenge.
And death toll in Kiambu, collapsed building rises to 5. Several others injured.
Hii sio safari ya kwanza ambayo tumekuwa na mkasa kama huu. Ni mikasa imekuwa ikitokea mara kwa mara hapa Kiambu.
And Wairimu is our sign language interpreter. Good evening. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. Well, tonight the government has dispatched a multi-agency security team to decisively deal with insecurity in Turkana region. This follows the killing of security officers by bandits. This as Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has already summoned the governors from 6 counties affected by banditry attacks tomorrow morning to discuss the matter. Chichi Josephine begins our broadcast tonight.
Pain and tears were evident as the news of the killing reached the family. John Kisoi, a father of 4, was no more. Brothers and relatives could not hold back their tears, narrating how they were expecting their father, who was also their breadwinner.
Alikuwa anatuambia anakuja leave, hata tayari alikuwa amepata barua ya kuja leave. So alikuwa anatupigia simu mpaka the last minute. Gavana bin Futu baada ya hiyo akasema tutazungumza kesho asubuhi ambayo ilikuwa jana.
Sasa tulikuwa nangojea yeye akuje nyumbani leave. Mpaka saa hii tunangojea marehemu.
Turkana Police Commander Samuel Ndanyi says this happened after bandits invaded Namariat village at dawn on Saturday and disappeared with the livestock. Security officers from Rokori tried recovering the livestock and in the process fell into bandits' trap. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, in a meeting with intergovernmental and county leaders, summoned 6 governors from West Pokot, Turkana, Samburu, Laikipia, Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet to discuss the security situations in those areas.
The governors from West Pokot, Turkana, Samburu, Laikipia, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet. We are inviting you for a meeting here tomorrow at 8:30 to discuss the security situation in that part of the country.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has launched a monitoring exercise to establish the circumstances surrounding the attack and make recommendations for further action. The bodies of the 8 security officers were flown to Nairobi as the injured soldier is still nursing injuries at the Lodwar Referral Hospital Intensive Care Unit.
We've lost a greater population of the people of Turkana East. We've lost serious personnel, security personnel, who are committed to deliver in protecting the lives of our people. We feel we should receive justice from the government of Kenya.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Now, the government has flagged off food aid to drought-stricken counties across the country. And as Mike Agwongo now reports, the William Ruto-led government says it's put in measures to fight hunger in the country, while over 3.5 million Kenyans are already suffering.
While more than 3.5 million people increasingly struggling with hunger in the country, President William Ruto flagged off more than 50 trucks to deliver foodstuff in the affected counties in an effort to tackle the hunger circle. Addressing a press briefing at Nairobi State House, Ruto asked counties to adjust their budgets so that they can avail resources to mitigate the drought situation.
We have also agreed that county governments will equally make provisions in their budget, even if they have to slow down some of their projects and programs, so that we can take care of this situation.
This comes as he announced that 23 counties are currently suffering severe effects of drought, with 3.5 million people being affected.
We have in these 50 trucks, 20,000 bags of rice, 20,000 bags of beans, and assorted animal feed, together with cooking oil that will go to the various parts of our country that today are facing serious challenges of drought.
The United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, said more than 3.5 million people are at risk of facing hunger in the country by the month of November. This warning was issued when the northern and eastern regions of the country continued to face severe drought.
They will map out the areas that require water bowsers, together with the governors present here and those who are not here, so that again we can be able to address that challenge of water.
The situation is expected to be 3 times worse compared to the situation that was witnessed last year, when 852,000 people were reported to be faced with hunger. Ruto's government is considering plans to fully exploit irrigation-based agriculture to boost food production in the wake of perennial severe drought in the country.
I want to ask all farmers who had cut back on acreage under food production that the government of Kenya will support them fully in these short rains and in the coming long rains, so that we can produce sufficient food to take care of our food requirements.
President William Ruto announced that transit from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation one will be critical in averting future food crises in the country. President Ruto disclosed that to make the plan a success, his administration will be working with the private sector on water delivery under the public-private partnership. He committed to engaging with Parliament to enact a law that will create provisions for water purchase agreements that will make it possible for the private sector to invest in the water sector.
We will also be mobilizing resources for animal offtake, where we find that the animals are too weak. We are going to work with Kenya Meat Commission to make sure that there is an offtake program.
This initiative, which will go a long way in complementing efforts by county governments and other partners in ensuring that our people can access food, water, and other basic services.
Earlier, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua held a meeting with governors from counties affected by drought to discuss immediate intervention measures to save lives as directed by his boss. The country is under famine attack following lack of enough rainfall for more than 4 years. In September, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta declared the drought situation as a national disaster, while millions of people continue to face hunger. His government allocated 2 billion shillings to aid in fighting hunger. President William Ruto announced that there will be a weekly consignment of the relief food that will be taken to the affected areas.
The food that you are flagging off today and subsequently will not be distributed by county commissioners alone. It will be a concerted effort between the national government administration, the county governments and our development partners, so that there is transparency and there is efficiency.
The more than 23 counties affected by drought will now benefit from government intervention, with President Ruto promising to bring to an end the suffering of more than 4 years of these counties. Mike Kagwango, TV 47 from State House, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike Kagwango, for that report. Elsewhere, 5 people have died and 6 others injured after a 6-story building collapsed in Kirigiti, Kiambu County. According to eyewitnesses, the building, which was still under construction, collapsed on a residential house below it, trapping some of the residents. Andrin Kilemi now reports on the 6th building to collapse in the county of Kiambu.
Monday morning in Kirigiti, Kiambu County, a 6-story building came tumbling down, creating tension among residents in the area. Rescuers sifted through the debris all day long and had evacuated 6 people by 7 p.m. Monday evening. 5 people died in the tragedy: a mother and her 2 children and another couple. Those who survived the tragedy were rushed to hospital and are still receiving treatment.
Hii sio safari ya kwanza ambayo tumekuwa na mkasa kama huu. Ni mikasa imekuwa ikitokea mara kwa mara hapa Kiambu County. Na vile tumefanya, tumeagiza DCI officers waanze uchunguzi mara moja. Waanze kutafuta ile contractor alikuwa anafanya hii kazi na mwenye nyumba mwenyewe. Tuweze kuwa prosecute, kwa sababu hii ni makosa yao. Kama sio makosa yao, hatungekuwa na ile shida tuko nayo sasa hivi.
Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi, who was present during the rescue mission, blamed the incident on poor structural designs, further saying the county would carry an audit of the projects under construction to avert danger.
Nataka niwaambie pia wananchi wetu kwamba umefika wakati wa pia wananchi kuwajibika, ambao ukitaka kujenga hakikisha kwamba unafuata sheria. Na mimi nasema kwa vile hii ni idara moja na mahali moja ambaye nitaangalia kwa makini sana, nataka niwaambie watu wetu tutembee safari moja. Kwa vile kutoka sasa vile tumeingia kwenye hii kazi, mimi nitaanza kuzunguka mimi mwenyewe binafsi na kuhakikisha kwamba tumekagua hizo mijengo zote ambazo mbeleni walikuwa wamepatiwa licenses na permits za kujenga, na tuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu anafuata kanuni na kufuata sheria ya ujenzi.
The combined efforts to rescue those trapped were coordinated by multi-agency team led by the Kiambu County Fire and Disaster Management Department, Kenya Defence Forces, Kenya Red Cross, Kenya Police Service and volunteers.
Ukiangalia hii mjengo imeanguka kwa sababu vile ilikuwa imepitishwa sivyo walikuwa na jenga. Kwa hivyo mimi ningependa tu kuunga mkono governor, na governor amesema atafuatilia hiyo maneno na mimi nitakuwa tuko na yeye kuangalia hiyo maneno.
This is the 6th time in a span of 12 months that a building has collapsed in Kiambu County, raising eyebrows on construction standards by contractors in the county. Andrina Akilemi, TV 47.
Tonight, IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati is on the spot after the Supreme Court, in a detailed judgment, stripped him of powers to verify and tally presidential results. This after the court declared as unconstitutional a section of election regulations which gave the Commission's chair power to do so. In a move likely to have far-reaching political and legal implications, the Apex Court further recommended a clear separation of powers at the Commission's hierarchy. Our senior political affairs reporter Apollo Kamau now reports.
In a detailed judgment that is likely to have far-reaching political and legal implications, the country's Apex Court has moved in to fix IEBC in managing future elections, with the role of IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati and 4 dissenting commissioners that culminated in a bitter fallout at the Bomas of Kenya, forcing the court to recommend changes at IEBC.
To the quorum and ticks of IEBC.
The 7-judge bench has nullified Regulation 87.3 of election regulations, declaring it as unconstitutional a move that strips Chebukati and future chairperson's powers to verify and tally presidential results at the National Tallying Center at the exclusion of other commissioners. 4 IEBC commissioners disowned presidential election results announced by Chebukati, declaring William Ruto president as opaque, saying they were kept in the dark. In his petition, Azimio coalition party leader Raila Odinga wanted the results annulled due to the divisions. In a move meant to avert further divisions at IEBC top leadership, as witnessed in the polls, the Apex Court said there should be a clear separation of powers between the Commission Chair, the CEO, and the Commissioners. The court has further recommended IEBC servers storing the controversial Form 4As, B and C, that featured prominently in the Azimio petition, be restricted to IEBC staff during the election period.
One, Jose Kamango accessed the RTS and interfered with the result contained therein. This also turned out to be no more than hot air.
Azimio, through lawyer Julie Soweto, had claimed Jose Camargo accessed IEBC public portal. In what could be a game changer in coming elections, the court has further recommended Form 4A be redesigned and have a column for stray ballots, which was a subject in the petition, with IEBC taken to task on how stray ballots are accounted for in an election. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, a section of the Raila-led Azimio One Kenya Alliance on Monday held protest outside the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission offices in Nairobi, demanding the reinstatement of Deputy CEO Ruth Kulundu. The leaders, who were dispersed through tear gas by police officers, have issued a 24-hour ultimatum to the electoral body to reinstate Kulundu. Moiga William reports.
A peaceful march to IEBC offices led by the Azimio leaders early turned messy as police lobbed tear gas to disperse Azimio supporters, and at the gates remain locked with no official from the commission picking up their demands. Leaders allied to the Azimio coalition party held the protest by marching and later setting camp for the better part of Monday morning outside the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC offices at the Anniversary Towers, Nairobi. The legislators were caught in a melee that ensued even as police demanded that the leaders disperse their supporters before they got an audience with the electoral body. The main gates of the Anniversary Towers, the building housing IEBC offices, were closed. The Azimio leaders are protesting the interdiction of IEBC Deputy CEO Ruth Kulundu in what they say is witch hunt from the commission. The leaders, led by Ruaraka Member of Parliament, took issues with IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati for the interdiction of the Deputy CEO.
As members of Parliament, and then we come and do what we must do.
And if you have an agreement with IEBC, in fact, we will give you escort to IEBC.
Yes, this is the thing, because it is part of our duty, public. Hiyo ndio tulichaguliwa kuifanya.
Why would you want 500 people to go to IEBC?
No, those are not our people, Moses. Why do you put people on me?
Azimio argues Chebukati and Marjan's latest actions portray an institution that has abandoned its independence and resorted to pleasing the executive. The interdiction of Kulundu was top of Azimio's grievances, saying the move is meant to intimidate IEBC officials who are not reading from the same script with IEBC leadership.
They have decided to lock the gate with chains. So you can imagine that the gates have been locked to the public. Everybody in Kenya, in Nairobi, cannot access IEBC to be able to ask pertinent questions.
The leaders demanded that IEBC immediately reinstates Kulundu to her position within 24 hours, failure to which it will take a stern action against Chebukati and IEBC CEO Marjan Hussein.
Kwa hivyo tunaomba Chebukati na timu yake wawache hizo carteling wanafanya ndani ya hiyo ofisi.
Mr. Chebukati, please, IEBC is a key institution in democratization of this country, and we are not going to allow you to become a dictator.
The Electoral Commission interdicted its Deputy Chief Executive Officer Ruth Kulundu, citing her for a litany of allegations. These include gross misconduct, insubordination, and participation in illegal activities contrary to her employment terms of service.
Na tutakuja hapa kila siku kuona kwamba haki za Madam Kulundu zimeonekana, na pia vile vile arudishiwe kazi yake na endelee na kuhudumu kwa hiyo kazi.
Mwege William, TV47, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, in collaboration with other key stakeholders, have launched the 2022 Elections Monitoring Report. The report has highlighted key findings, including the number of crime cases among voters and election officials during the election period. This story was produced by Andrew Juma.
Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, together with other institutions, among them IPOA, NCCK, election observer groups, and the Office of Inspector of Police on Monday launched the report, which highlighted key issues which were observed during the election.
Despite the drop in loss of lives, other violations such as assault, intimidation, harassment, voter bribery, and misuse of children in elections are still a grave concern. One particular disturbing observation is the increase in civilian misuse of firearms, which contributed to at least 70% of the deaths and assaults recorded. A new phenomenon not previously observed was the violence inside tallying centers, which majorly affected election officials.
The Commission observed that there was a smooth transition period from the previous government to the current one, despite the increased cases of insecurity and use of firearms among politicians in the counties of Garissa, Elgeyo Marakwet, Isiolo, Mandera, Nakuru, Turkana and West Pokot.
This is a huge reduction from the 99 cases that were reported in 2017. The 7 cases, yes, you can see the graph there. We have just the blue for this year, the red was 2017. So we have a big drop in the number of lives lost. And this testifies to the good work done by the security agencies and also the good work done in peace promotion. In that, we thank the religious leaders, the NCCK and the NCIC for peace messaging constantly.
And not just to defend the rights that affect us, but also the rights of others. Because if you see your neighbor's land being taken away,
threats, harassment and intimidation were also on the rise, as the Commission noted 49 cases of harassment among election officials, observers and voters at large.
Ensuring that the reforms that are required are done within a period of sobriety. We end up running very late in the day. Parliament runs very late in the day. We had changes to electoral laws this year. We had new laws which are coming into place. We had 2 funds to IEBC coming also very late. I think we need to work as stakeholders in this area to ensure that within, once the Commission gives out the recommendations today.
The police spokesperson Bruno Shioso noted that IEBC was able to deliver a free and fair election through the support of National Police Service and other stakeholders in the sector.
Through our liaison office, we worked jointly with IEBC and developed robust training guidance for all levels of our practitioners, purposely to empower them to better perform. At the core of this training guidance was a deliberate focus on democratic, human rights-based and responsive policing paradigm.
Moving on, key stakeholders from the health sector across the country joined the world in commemorating World Contraceptive Day. The global event that centers itself around family planning visions seeks to raise awareness about family planning options and challenges surrounding limited access to family planning services. This year's theme was breaking family planning myths and misconceptions.
Speaking during the commemoration ceremony in Nairobi, Director General of Promotive Health Andrew Mulwa said, on average, Kenyan women believe 5 out of every 8 given myths about modern contraception. According to him, myths negatively impact family planning uptake as women use them as a basis for decision making.
In Kenya and elsewhere, the family planning myths and misconceptions are prevalent at the community level, and they hinder the uptake of modern contraceptives. The low level of contraceptive knowledge, particularly on contraceptive fears, as revealed by the study in Kwale County, demonstrates critical gaps in sexual and reproductive health knowledge among the youth.
Research has further shown that the sources of the myths are women themselves, and the spread of this myth take place via informal communications such as social networks.
In Kenya, we see these misinformed decisions as contributing to poor health outcomes for the mothers and their children and trickling down to our community. These decisions, when entrenched in the lives of women and men within the families, are difficult to change and may lead to repeat poor decisions on family planning.
In Bungoma County, 25% of women are said to have used family planning methods without the knowledge of their partners, with 0 vasectomy cases reported in the county since the year 2014.
25% of the women were on contraception, and yet their spouses or their partners were not aware. And that's why we want to encourage male involvement, because it is important, even in terms of decision making, which method you want to take as a couple. It is very key.
Lamu County activists have highly condemned the prescription of family planning methods to girls of a young age. According to the activists, the culture encourages sexual activeness among teens that instead exposes them to sexually transmitted diseases.
Kama wanatumia zile dawa za kujitunga ile sipate mimba, hiyo inakuwa kwao ni fursa kubwa kufanya mapenzi kiolela, kwa sababu akiondoa hofu kwamba hatopata mimba, ambapo hiyo ni hatari zaidi, kwa sababu pale anapoendelea zaidi kuna uwezekano kupata magonjwa.
Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Now, the Office of the Ombudsman has launched a report on systemic investigations into the plight of Kenyan migrant domestic workers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This follows an increase in the number of cases of mistreatment of Kenyan domestic workers.
Continue with the plenary so that we get an opportunity to get...
Rebecca Chesang traveled to Saudi Arabia in 2020 with the intention of working as a domestic worker. But before she traveled, she attended a training where she was informed that she will be working in Qatar. But the script changed while she was at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where she was informed that her destination was Saudi Arabia.
Tulirudi tukaingia kwa ofisi, tukadungwa shindano, but hatukuwa tunajua hiyo shindano ni ya nini. Then tukadungwa, tukarudi nyumbani. Vile tulifika nyumbani, tukarealize that hiyo shindano ilikuwa ya family planning. Kumaanisha my-agent hawataki kujua about sisi sasa, wanataka aje hao ni pesa. Nikamaliza 3 weeks. Mwili yangu ikaanza kufura na sijui ni nini, na mdomo ikaanza kutani ikakuwa red. Huyu boss wa pili alikuwa mzuri, akaniambia Rebecca, nini mbaya? Nikamwambia sijui nini mbaya na nini. Twende hospitali. Kupeleka hospitali nilikuwa nimepoisoniwa. Sikuwa najua nilikula poison, niliwekea kwa food.
And the suffering persisted.
Kuna siku madam akasahau kufunga freezer. Alikuwa ameua sijui ni Ethiopia. Alikuwa amemkatakata akamkausha kwa freezer. So vile nilipata hiyo maiti nikastuka. Na si kusema kwa sababu ningesema ningeuawa. Nikaendelea tu kufanya kazi nikiteswa hivyo sikuli. Nilikuwa tu na survive na strong tea peke yake. Even pads nilikuwa natumia my pant kama pads, sabuni nilikuwa naokea humo.
This kind of narratives of mistreatment of Kenyan domestic workers is what led the Office of the Ombudsman to conduct a systemic investigation into the plight of Kenya migrant domestic workers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In the report was a number of recommendations which, if effected, will help provide a conducive environment for the workers.
Another gap is at the immigration you have mentioned. Now, anybody going to Saudi Arabia, for example, is supposed to have undergone pre-departure training. Does the immigration at the airport have a record to show that this person going to Saudi Arabia to work went through a recognized pre-departure training program?
As we send our people out there, yes, we train them to adapt. But they also have their own dignity. They also have their unique culture to protect. So I think as we send workers out there, let's also look at how best, yes, somebody mentioned we need the job, but not at the expense of our lives.
One of the agents attending the meeting was ridiculed after he alluded that Kenyan domestic workers are suffering because they are indisciplined. Rebecca says there are a number of girls who are currently being tortured in Saudi Arabia and that their agents are ignoring their cries. She's appealing to the government to rescue them. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Let's count the cost and get to the world of business. And the Kenya Bureau of Standards has defended its move to suspend oil products said to have not met the standards. KEBS says the edible oil companies did not comply with the requirements set out in the fortified edible and fat specifications on iron levels. Take a look.
And I will read them to you so that there is no doubt, and I will ensure that each one of you has a printout of what they are and their batch numbers. They are as follows. 1, Bahari Fry, batch number 107921. There is also second, Fresh Fry, batch number FF1L17487D 941D. We have Postman, which has a batch number of 0210322B. We wish to reassure the public that whatever else is in the market from the respective brands is safe and there is no cause for alarm. The purpose of this meeting was to build consensus and the way forward so that there is a clarity that this is the list of all the recalled brands and batch numbers.
The Ports Authority has allowed a free window for importers to determine where to clear their cargo. This follows the September 13th order by President William Ruto, which called for the clearing of all goods to revert to the port city of Mombasa. KPA Acting Managing Director John Mwagemi has written to shipping lines and agents advising them to facilitate importers. KPA says it is committed to implementing the presidential directive on cargo clearance.